Hey Capricorn Ascendant, it's Nicole from Outerinnerspace, and in this video we're going to be talking about your chart ruler and some ideas which I've received relative to timing and your authentic frequency. Because the way I see it is all the placements in your natal chart have their own energetic vibration that come into play at different times in your soul journey or according to transits or cosmic conditions. But the chart ruler, because the ascendant sign sets up the orientation of your natal chart and it's like the lens through which you see the world. So tuning into the vibration of your chart ruler, which for you is Saturn, you can kind of connect to this frequency that's like a core vibration within you. And when you do that, it returns you to this place of equilibrium and harmony. You can kind of consider it as a main spirit guide. And it's helpful to do these kinds of things if ever you're feeling scattered or you're not sure where to put your energy or you're feeling anxious. Tuning into the qualities of the chart ruler can kind of give you this space around you, which helps put things in perspective and recalibrates you to a vibration that's more true to your nature. So in this video, we're just going to be talking about the chart ruler. So this is only one aspect of your natal chart, but I do find that it helps with things to do with timing and pacing and setting goals in a way that actually makes sense to you and is not dependent or influenced by outside sources or social constructs. So the notes that you see in this video, you can grab from my website and there's a link below, but I hope you find some value in this. So Capricorn Ascendant, the first thing I would suggest would be to take a look at where Saturn is placed in your natal chart. And after you've digested some of the ideas that I'll share in this video, it's worth having a look at the sign Saturn is in and the house that it's in, and then extrapolating on these ideas so that you can make them a bit more personal to you according to where Saturn is placed, because it does have a significant influence on your energy. And I'm a Capricorn Ascendant at 25 degrees, so I'm familiar with the energy, and I hope that some of the things that I've learned can transfer to your experience and help bring some awareness to you in some way. So with Saturn as the chart ruler, themes like timing and mastery and integrity come into play. Capricorn is the last earth sign, so it's about how we are operating here in this physical world in integrity with our spiritual nature. I find Capricorn to be a very spiritual sign, kind of the energy of like a shaman or just a very grounded healer. And there's a deep wisdom that comes from this Saturn energy because of the lessons and the trials and the tribulations and the need to master your energy. So if you are someone who finds yourself in these constant lessons from Saturn, it always comes back to you claiming your personal power and bringing your energy back to you. And those lessons are going to perpetuate until you learn and see where you're acting in a way that is out of your integrity. And to be in integrity is to align your body, your mind, and your spirit. So this means really coming back to acting in an authentic way. And that means coming up against these brick walls that you find, which occur when you're kind of trying to be somewhere by a certain point or have achieved a certain level of success, in quotations, which are dictated by powers outside of you. So social constructs like this idea that, say, by the age of 30, you're supposed to be already in your profession and having this level of authority in the world. But you have to understand that with Saturn, you're running on a timeline that's a very long-term and broad scope. And so when we're kind of like trying to race against the clock and get to a certain point by a certain time, but we haven't really done the work to do that alignment of mind, body and spirit, we're going to just hit those brick walls again and again, and Saturn will hold you back from getting to where you want to go because you're kind of working with an energy outside of you. And again, it's that mastery thing with Saturn, and understanding that you are running on a timeline that's completely unique and different to everybody else, and so is everybody else, but according to their own soul journey and what they're here to do. But until you kind of create this space around you and really tune into what it is that you're here to do and your innate gifts, and learning how to master your energy, and that means not spending your time and your money and your energy loosely. With Saturn, with the idea of restriction, there will be restrictions that come to you from the external world, and you're just going to feel like you keep getting knocked down, but it's because you're kind of running towards something that isn't in alignment and isn't true to your soul purpose. Because with Saturn, it really has a lot to do with purpose, but if we're kind of jaded, or we're operating from a place where it's all this conditioning, either from our parents or from something that someone in authority has said to us when we're young, and we haven't cross-referenced that with what we actually want and how we actually feel, and determining whether that's actually worth our energy, then we are going to face these blocks. And that's the lesson of Saturn, is like he wants you to be vibing on a timeline that is authentic to you, and that can be hard, and that's the lesson. And then the kind of onus comes onto you to put those restrictions in place where you aren't, going in certain directions or spending your energy, because your energy is what is precious, right? So until we kind of bring that energy in and say no to certain things, or really refine our operating system, then we can feel like, he's punishing us, but it isn't the case. It's like he wants you to be able to get on your path, and often it does mean that you're going to come up against these blocks. And so as you sort of start to recognize what's yours and what isn't, in the sense of whether you are moving because of something that a parent has expected of you, or this ideal that you've learnt through the media of what success is, redefine that idea of success to something that's really true for you. And more often than not, with Saturn and with Capricorn energy, it's going to be very simple in a lot of ways, because it is about coming back to what is essential. And so as you act in integrity and be in alignment and start being very reserved in how you're spending your energy and putting it only onto the things that do have long-term value and are part of your legacy, then that's how you kind of do rise in status and you do get that success. But you'll find that it really, all that extra stuff, that money and the status from like a socially conditioned point of view, isn't at all what's going to feed your spirit. It's going to be the fact that you are able to control your energy and you are able to direct it in the right place, in a way, in a method that's aligned with your soul. So when you think about the word integrity, it's integrating. So it's about synthesizing those parts of you into this expression that's very true. And it's going to be very unique to all of us, because we're all here on this mission, but the expression of our mission is going to be very different. So for some people, it's going to be having this energy field where your kindness in your small interactions with people that you meet at the store or on the street or what have you is kind of like your purpose. That's kind of how you bring the light into the world. But for other people, it's going to be being a leader of a multinational, you know what I mean? So it's going to be very different for different people, and it's going to be very specific, and your natal chart can kind of lead to ideas of what that is, but really this kind of goes beyond that, in a sense that it is just a vibration that's in your soul that's here to be uncovered. The social conditioning and the imprints and the things that we pick up in life need to kind of get broken through, and what they are we'll see when we experience these lessons. So for you guys, it's really important to create this energy field of time around you and space around you, and understand that you're not really working according to the calendar months, you're not working according to age. It's got nothing to do with this Gregorian timeline, it's a soul timeline. So if you give yourself time to consider those ideas, then you kind of break out of this idea that you're behind or that you haven't got to where you're getting next, because exactly where you are right now as you're listening to this is exactly perfect according to your soul evolution. But it's when we kind of are measuring ourselves according to these false standards that we just get in our own way, and that's when Saturn will put you in situations where you have to learn that lesson again and again in its own specific manifestation until you kind of start to get that you're not working according to these social standards. You're here to bring your power into your core, and you're here to know what that is in your bones and move from that space. And I find that when you kind of question that idea of time and what you've learnt about time, and also what you've learnt about work and your job and your mission, that 10th house energy, then this whole spectrum opens up, and he kind of starts to see that you are making your experience more authentic and more personal. And then the pathways kind of start to open up, and you can kind of sense a few roadblocks kind of start to get out of the way, and then you can start to take those little steps towards where you want to go. And with Saturn energy, it's really important to realize that there aren't any shortcuts. So, if you're kind of trying to get to where you want to go, trying to get into this career or trying to get to this level of success, but you're kind of thinking that, say, this level of learning is going to take too long, or I'm nowhere where I need to be, and you're kind of like trying to skirt around an issue and take shortcuts, then you have to realize that you're going to get these Saturn blocks, and then it ends up taking the same or even longer than if you realized in this moment that, yes, it's going to take a longer period of time, but again, like that time period is just a man-made construct. Clocks are man-made. So with your energy and Saturn energy, it's important to have a look at, the cycles of nature and tuning back into that earth element, where you kind of see that for a tree to really get to its established form and have those strong roots, where when storms come, it isn't going to blow over, that takes many cycles to get through. So as a Capricorn Ascendant, tuning into the natural elements around you and just like being in nature and noticing the cycles, and how, a palm tree is going to have a different growth rate to a rose bush or, let's say, a cannabis plant. Like, it's about seeing that, like, we're all very individual in this regard, and as soon as you own that individuality and start working with your own soul time, then a lot of the same blocks that you kind of keep coming up against, again, they start to dissipate. And when that happens as well, Saturn will bless you with this access to this deep wisdom and knowing that you have stored in your bones, because he can kind of start to see like, oh, okay, yeah, they're getting it. You know what I mean? And another thing is that it's really important to realize that the little things that you do, like the little steps, are as important as the big breakthrough moments. With Saturn and with this idea of timing and this longer wave timing, it's kind of about realizing that, and I know this is cliche, but it is about the process and getting better and mastering your energy and those little compound effects. It's not about getting to this endpoint of success, whatever that means to you. You'll find, like, as a Capricorn Ascendant, that perhaps you've experienced this already in your life, that when you get to this point, there's really like no level of celebration because you're already contemplating your next goal. And so if we're always living in this mindset that once I get here, once I achieve this, or once like this project is done, then I'll be happy, it really doesn't work like that. Like, there's so much space between when those goals are achieved or when those milestones appear, that if you are constantly living for this point where you're getting accolades or appreciation or this validation from external sources to make your experience worthwhile, you're kind of missing the point in many ways. So with Saturn energy, it's about celebrating the little wins, it's about realizing that every little investment of your energy to get better and to get more in alignment and to cut out the stuff that doesn't work and to pivot on your daily actions to match this vision that you have of this wonderful manifestation, it's there where the richness and the gold is. And I find that you'll come to realize as time progresses that this is what's feeding you, and that's what's actually going to refine your energy field, because that's the essence of Saturn, is this consistency and this discipline and the self-reliance as well. And that too, in a sense, gives you this, more open flow of energy that when you do that, you can infuse your projects and your work with this really beautiful energy and this really potent energy. And that's what's going to make the impact, and that's what's going to leave the legacy, is that you've given yourself time and you're working in alignment, and that shows. And then that's kind of what the legacy becomes. And with Saturn as well, the whole reason I'm doing this chart ruler series is to show that each individual has a very unique combination of energetic vibrations, like an energetic blueprint. Like if you consider, like I said before, how all the different placements in your natal chart have their own energetic expression, you kind of start to see that everyone else in the whole world is completely individualized and running on their own timing. And so any point of comparison, like this idea, and I find this a lot with myself, but I'm learning that this person is way more where I would like to be and they're younger than me, like these kinds of, socially conditioned things, or this comparison, like it's silly, because, that might be someone who's running on Mercury and they kind of run faster in a sense, but you're not. And you've got your own mission here and your own purpose. So giving yourself the grace to realize that your timing is very authentic and unique to you. And it's on this really slow wave in a sense. And that's not to say that it's going to take forever timing, but it is about realizing that, like I said before, measuring your success by your age or anything like that, it's such a waste of energy, honestly. And because you have so much of this personal power within, there's such a fortitude with Capricorn energy, noting that like when you do the refinements of your energy spends, whether that be, like the little spends of money that you didn't really need to do that, but you kind of did in the moment because you wanted to get this instant gratification, or whether that might be like going out for coffee because you were feeling static and you needed to do something. When you can kind of reel in those impulses and ask yourself, is there a way that I can ground in this moment, restrict this energy spend, how can that benefit me in the long run? And you'll find that the more you do those little acts of discipline, and then you're kind of sending this message again to Saturn saying like, okay, I'm starting to get a handle on this. And then he'll kind of bless you with these new experiences or these returns on your controlled investment, if you know what I mean. And also with Saturn energy, like when you consider the Capricorn and Cancer axis, with all astrology, like it is about synthesizing the axis, because we're working on this range of a spectrum. And so if you do feel like, you're just working so hard or that you are trying to push yourself to get to where you want to go, you can ask Saturn to be like, okay, I need some Cancer time to myself. I need to connect to my moon, the ruler of Cancer, and I need to just recalibrate my emotional body and my energetic field and give myself some nourishment and some sustenance. And when I am ready, I'm going to come back to work and I'm going to be better. And Saturn's going to be like, fuck yeah, like they're getting it, So it's not always about the work. It's about redefining what the work is. It's about, like the whole work is energy mastery with you guys, with Capricorn Ascendant, because you're going to lead in such a beautiful way when you realize that, because where we're going in this world is becoming our own authority and sovereign beings who can make decisions for ourselves and work our energy in our own way and access our unique gifts, and then it becomes this really beautiful coalescence of all these specified and specialized professions and gifts, where there isn't like competition to get to a certain role. It's like we're all here because we've got this really authentic gift to offer, or many gifts to offer. But it's like when we're measuring our success according to social norms, like that's ridiculous. And that's why so many people kind of grow old and realize like, I was never happy in this role. You know what I mean? So I think astrology is really beautiful in that regard, because it just shows us all our individuality and really takes down those ideals that aren't real, that are just based on like hamster wheeling for the sake of like higher powers that can control us when we give our power over to them. So it's about realizing your power and mastering your energy and becoming a sovereign being. And also the idea of karma with Saturn is that what you put out, you get back. And so every choice that you've made so far in your life is what's creating your karma. Like, it's not something that comes from outside of you, like you've done something bad in a past life or anything like that. It's all the choices that you're making present time are affecting what is going to come back to you. And so you can begin to clear your karma by acting in integrity and acting in a way that is true and authentic to you. And then that cycle of karma starts to work for your benefit in a way that you're putting out this really beautiful and, specific output, this expression that is in integrity. And then you start to have these experiences where you can grow, and, all this stuff that you value comes back to you because you are working in a way that you understand that the field is complementing your output. And so just getting to know your energy in whatever way you can is really beneficial. And another thing for you guys is to do things that tend to your skeletal structure. So doing things like yoga and dance and any kind of physical movement, or seeing an osteopath or a chiro that's really aware, that can help you kind of realign any parts of your body that have kind of gone skew with because of all the pressure that you kind of keep inside. Doing that body work can really help you get into like a physical alignment, and then you'll start to notice that your energy flows even better. And just a side note, if you're a woman, I've created this resource called Periods, Brainwaves and Astrology. It's like an interactive content library, and that really helps with tuning into your timing and your cycles on that hormonal level, and working with this different rate of timing. So there's a link to that below if you're interested. So Capricorn Ascendant, I'll leave you with this last thing, is that you're here to be a leader. Like, you have, like, when you think about what we've just been through with Saturn in Capricorn, kind of wiping the slate clean, all this crazy dumb shit where people are taking the power from other people and trying to assert this power because they can't access their own. It really comes back to you to be this representation of what it means to own your power and own your energy and direct it in very refined ways. And just doing that, and it doesn't even matter if you're singing, like, it's about being in integrity and setting the new stage for how we as a collective are to operate. And that is by not taking power from other people, but claiming it and knowing how potent you are as an individual. And when we all start to do that, then we create this completely new collective idea of, what we're all here to do and how we're all interlinked and all this stuff. So know that the lessons aren't for nothing, and that you are so important at this time, and that you wouldn't have incarnated here going towards these goals if they weren't available to you. But it is about, refining your energy spends and getting in alignment and just claiming your sovereign self, basically, and not seeking outside of you for validation of what you know to be true in your bones. So Capricorn Ascendant, I am sending you so much love, and I hope you found some value in this. And there are some links below if you want to have a look at more of my work, and I am wishing you well.